Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero of all time. When the first Spider-Man movie came out, I fell in love instantly. Then Spider-Man 2 was released and it quickly became my favorite movie of all time. Sony then continued with the third movie with Raimi and then two others with Mark Webb, the Amazing Spider-Man series. And they were good, according to me, but a lot of people didn't like them. And they thought they were kind of fed up with Sony because they thought they were inept in handling the character and they thought they were too busy doing the whole cinematic universe thing, which I agree with. Then Sony announced that they were letting Marvel Studios use Spider-Man in their movies. And whenever I first heard that, I wasn't really ecstatic. I was just indifferent. I was like, I didn't really think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe needed it. But then whenever I saw the first trailer, or the second trailer was it, for Captain America Civil War, and I heard the thwip coming straight, the web shooters coming straight out of out of Spider-Man's wrist, then I was like, oh, there it is. This is a perfect fit. And so they basically, it wasn't the Spider-Man that I grew up with, but they got the essence of what that character was. Unfortunately, soon after the success of the crawler and the MCU, Sony then decided to do the whole cinematic universe thing again, but they decided to do it without Spider-Man. And so that had me kind of worried because ever since I was a kid, Spider-Man and Venom have always been synonymous. They're like, peanut butter and jelly, or like ham and cheese, or anything like that. You can't just make a Venom movie without Spider-Man. So then they released a trailer and I was like, okay, well, this looks all right, I guess. The first one didn't really wow me. The second one was pretty cool because it showed us a little bit more Venom. I love the design. But then like my niece and nephew saw it and they thought it was pretty cool. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. And so what did I think? Well, I thought Venom was great. The cast was great. The villain was serviceable. I mean, it wasn't the best villain in the world, but it was good. The relationship between Eddie and the symbiote was amazing. That's pretty much what held the movie together, and it was a great relationship. Tom Hardy was really good in the movie. He was amazing. He basically carried the movie. You felt bad for him because he tried to do what was right. He had his own little vlogging reporting type platform, and he didn't really go anywhere with that. So he was just a guy trying to do good, but then he got fired because of that, which was kind of a bummer. So you see him at his lowest low, and you want him to actually, recover, which is something that he did do. And that's what you want from your main characters. You want you want them to win, especially whenever they're right and nobody believes them. They basically become the underdog. Michelle Williams was good too. To be honest with you, her character could have probably been played by anybody, but she was good. I mean, if you can get good talent, why not? You might as well get her, and she played the role very well. Whenever she had any type of feelings for Eddie or anything like that, you felt it. You said, okay, well, this girl really cares about Eddie. They go through some turmoil here and there, but then you're rooting for their relationship to work. Riz Ahmed was okay. One of the biggest things that I saw in reviews is a lot of people didn't like how Riz Ahmed, they thought he was too shallow of a character. I really didn't. It didn't bother me that much just because it wasn't his movie. He served the purpose that he needed, and that was to be the mustache twirling villain, and that was fine. I was worried more about the relationship that Eddie and the symbiote were building, and I could care less about what Riz Ahmed was doing. But he was good. He for what he needed to do, he was great. There were some things that I kind of didn't like about the movie, and the biggest thing that I didn't like about the movie is the lighting. I don't know if you guys saw the movie. I don't know if it's just me, but anytime there was any fight, there was two sequences that really got to me. The fight at the end where it's Venom versus Riot, and then the chase on the bike. The bike chase wasn't really as bad, but the fight with Venom and Riot really was bad. It just felt like people were destroying, because it was so dark and the symbionts are so dark. It just looked like, and the camera angles too, they were all over the place. it kind of felt like they were just throwing silly putty all over the place. You know, you just saw silly putty here and there. You couldn't really distinguish between what villains were doing and what. The other scene with the motorcycle chase, that one was really good. Again, it was a little dark for me, so I couldn't really see exactly what was going on. I think it was probably my theater. I'm not pretty sure, just because the lights, the lights that are by the aisle, the really dim lights they were on, and I was in an aisle seat, so I'm not sure if that was what affected it. But that's something that I know that bothered me. As far as anything else that really bothered me, it was probably the mid-credit scene. It was something that a lot of people have been waiting for. It's a tease to set up future movies. I think they could have handled the tease a little bit better. I'm not going to give it away what it is, but they could have the way they introduced some of the elements that they did were a little too on the nose. I didn't buy it at all. I thought it was cheesy and hokey, and it was almost borderline, breaking the fourth wall. So whenever I left the theater, that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But if you can give me like a 2-hour movie of just Eddie and Venom, battling their differences, sharing the same mind, kind of like Hulk versus Bruce Banner style in Infinity War, where they were kind of at each other's throats, two people trying to coax within the same body. That's pretty good stuff. But in any case, if I were to choose a rating for this, whether you see it in a big screen, small screen, or no screen, I would say you could see it on a small screen. I don't think you have to pay the $20 that it costs to go to the movies. Now, if you have a service like A-List, or if you have a service like Movie Pass or something like that, then it's probably worth watching there. But I would really recommend either seeing it on cable or renting it. It's worth there. It's right in the middle. You don't have to skip it. I mean, it's not a really bad movie, but it's a movie that if you don't see, you're probably not missing much. That was my review for Venom. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. Take care.